Hi, I'm Kathryn Roberts, and I've created this video for you as an introduction to tapping into wealth. I began working with author and tapping expert Margaret Lynch in 2013, and I became an authorized tapping into wealth coach earlier this year in 2014. I have been a life and business coach for nearly a decade now, and after using tapping to work on my own financial limits and spending the past year working with many clients who are artists and entrepreneurs, I can honestly say that I truly believe tapping is the absolute best tool for enabling you to get out of your own way. There is no better tool when it comes to identifying and changing the programming and limiting beliefs that are holding you back from reaching your full financial potential. So if you're tired of working long and hard without the success you deserve when it comes to increasing your income, reducing your debt, or achieving your financial goals, and you are willing to look at why you are right where you are financially, then this video is for you. I am really excited to be sharing this information with you because it is literally life-changing. So here we go. In this video, you will be creating your own personal money map, which is really a way of looking at the 5 kinds of money we have in our life. What if I told you that you were carrying hidden programming that is specifically blocking your money, your wealth, literally setting your income, your savings, and the amount of debt that you have in your life? Would you want to uncover that? Would you want us to see what's in there? Would you want me to show you and help you see that you are carrying that hidden programming? Well, that's what we're going to do. Also, I know it sounds kind of weird, but I also want to suggest to you that there are mind-body-money connections involved as well. What we are going to do is map out the way your money is specifically tied literally to your nervous system. And lastly, we'll look at financial traumas. So I'm going to show you that not only are there 5 kinds of money, but each of the 5 kinds of money has 3 distinct aspects to it that we are going to put in your money map. Sound good? Okay, here we go. Let's define the 3 aspects first. Each of the 5 types of money has a program belief in it. We can also call this habitual self-talk. Program beliefs become the things we say to ourselves over and over every time we think about a situation or a topic. I also refer to them as our little voices. So each type of money also has or triggers an emotion that runs through your nervous system. And these emotions trigger the fight or flight response in us. And each type of money has traumas associated with it. Yes, I said traumas, actual traumas connected to each of the 5 kinds of money. Now I know it sounds a little bit woo-woo, but as we get into this money map, you're really going to see how quickly this appears. Okay, so we've got 3 aspects of the 5 kinds of money: program belief, emotion that runs through the nervous system, and connected traumas. So what I want you to do is take out a blank piece of paper. This will become your own personal confidential money map. You can just pause the video for a minute if you need to find a pen and paper. Okay, we're going to start with a type of money called savings. So write down the amount of money that's in your savings account. And if you don't have a savings account, or you have a vacuous hole in your savings account, then just put down 0. Now I want you to look at that number on the page, and I want you to just sit with it. Take a deep breath, and notice what's the feeling in your body right now. What are you feeling? I want you to write down the 2 main feelings that you have when you think about your savings. Now, what often comes up for people, strangely enough, the emotion that very often comes up when people think about their savings are feelings of sadness, or loss, or disappointment. And of course, sometimes there's worry and fear about what might happen, but feelings that are often there are, I never feel safe, or I feel vulnerable, I never feel taken care of. That's just some idea. This is your money map, so you need to write down whatever is coming up for you. And if you have a lot of savings and just positive things are coming up, that's great. You don't need to worry about this one. You can just sit back and wait till we move on to the next type of money. Okay, so once you've written down the feelings, what's the thought that's running through your head? When you look at that number in your savings, what do you think? In other words, how would you finish this sentence? This means I'm fill in the blank. Now, some of my clients say this means I'm such a loser because I don't have any savings, or I'm so stupid, or this means I'm such a failure. Whatever you're hearing, however you fill in the blank, that is your self-talk or program belief. That's your little voice. When you say that, I'm such a loser out loud, I know it isn't comfortable, or I'm such a failure, or I should have more. But looking at the feelings again, if you say it and it feels really true when you say it, that's your programmed belief. I want you to write down that feeling when you say it. What's the feeling or the emotion behind that programmed belief or little voice? It may feel like I'm embarrassed. Okay, put down embarrassment. Does it feel sort of, oh my God, I'm embarrassed, I'm really ashamed? That's very, very common response or feeling to having no savings set aside. Shame and embarrassment are some of the darkest emotions, and they hammer the nervous system. It may not seem like it, but shame and embarrassment are massive triggers for our flight or fight response. Now, interestingly enough, you remember that I mentioned traumas? Some people, when they look at their savings account, it reminds them of a past event that was full of great loss or sadness or disappointment. It may even be something that still feels unresolved. So does thinking about the amount of savings you have remind you of something that happened in the past that involved great loss, disappointment, or a feeling of losing safety or security? These are your traumas, the traumas associated with your savings. Do you see that any time in your life that you've ever thought about your savings account or your lack of savings, your nervous system runs with the stress response and it triggers feelings of shame, embarrassment, fear, or loss, whatever it was that you were feeling. And the thing that runs through your head is, I'm such a failure, or I just can't seem to save anything, or I'm so stupid. And when you think about your savings account, it may even trigger those old memories of very sad, disappointing, or unresolved events, past events. So what I want you to get right now in this moment is that this is why your savings account is exactly where it is. This is why you don't have more savings, or why your savings hasn't moved to the level that you'd like it. Let's just really look at this. Do you see and understand why in the past you have never put any time, focus, or attention on your savings account? Because every time you do, your subconscious throws up these uncomfortable and unpleasant thoughts and emotions. And can you give yourself just the tiniest bit of compassion and understanding now that you can see that this is mapped to your savings in your nervous system is all this stuff? It's like a stone wall working 100% of the time against anything, any action that you might take to change your savings. Well, if that one was a little bit uncomfortable, this one's going to be just a little bit worse. But it's incredibly important to see this. So now what I want you to write down on either the same piece of paper or on a new one is the total amount of your debt. And if you have no idea how much debt that you have because you don't open those letters or you don't look at it and you just hope that it goes away, I want you to make your best guess. And by debt, I don't mean your house mortgage. That's a regular monthly living expense. But I'm talking about credit card debt or money borrowed from family or friends, or if you have a loan that you use to consolidate all your debt and it's sitting there, that's the kind of debt we're referring to. And again, if you don't have any debt, that's great. You can just skip over this type of money. Okay, so now we're going to look at your debt. And I'm going to ask you the same question. When you look at that number, your total debt, what's the first emotion that comes up? What are the two main feelings? The two main feelings that come up when you look at that number. Go ahead and write those two feelings down. Now, I want you to point that number and complete this sentence. This means I'm what? What does that mean when you think about that? You know, when you think about your debt, there are a whole different set of emotional responses and program beliefs that habitually run through your mind. You're seeing those as you look at that piece of paper and react to it. And again, if you don't have any debt, just positive things are coming up, that's great. You don't need to worry about this one. You can just wait until we get to the next type of money. But for those of you who do have debt, what I want to show you and what you have to understand is these program beliefs and these emotions were there first. And your debt is the result of having these emotions and program beliefs, okay? When you look at your debt, can you point to an event in the past or a time in the past and see that there was a battle of some sort? Did you look at the way your parents were living and swear you would never live like them? Or are there any betrayals or maybe something that you've never forgiven yourself for or forgiven someone else? Those are the types of traumas associated with your debt. So let's just put this in context. You know, American Psychological Association says that 80% of our inner talk is negative. And I really want you to hear how negative your inner talk is when you think about your debt, which is, by the way, you can be triggered to think of multiple times in a day. I just want you to hear how powerfully negative this habitual talk is that you say to yourself. So when you look at your debt and you think about it, you're thinking, I'm such a loser, or I'm so stupid, how could I let this happen? Or I've never been good with money, or I'll never get out of this mess. You need to understand how damaging it is when you say that multiple times in a single day. And it affects your nervous system, and it is often connected to something really painful and emotional from the past. And again, I just want you to give yourself just the tiniest bit of understanding and compassion on why you haven't taken all of your brilliance, all of your brains, all of your skills, and focused it on managing and getting rid of this stuff, this debt. Does that make sense? When you go to work, or you're in your studio, you can be this brilliant, amazing person, creative, persistent, getting all these projects done. But when it comes to your own debt, do you see how all of these emotions, these negative feelings and program beliefs stop you from succeeding? You could be handed the greatest strategy in the world to reduce that debt. There are 80,000 books out there on how to do it, but you won't be able to do it until you clear this stuff. I really want you to get that, because this is where the understanding and the compassion starts to shift things. Okay, I know all of this feels and sounds crappy, but until we start having this conversation and getting to what's really going on, you can't move forward. And I promise you the technique, the mind-body technique that we're going to be using to shift this is going to make a huge difference for you. And I just want to remind you, this is where we're going. There's a reason we're doing this. There's a reason we have to look at it. It's a powerful process, and I'm going to show you how to shift out of this really quickly. First, we're going to move on to the next type of money, and that's income. So I want you to write down on the paper, and I think it's easiest to look at it monthly, but write it down whatever the best way for you to look at it is. Monthly, annually, whatever. Write down your total income. And notice the feeling that you're already having. Often people start to have a feeling in their body of anxiety or frustration or some type of stress. So try and notice any feelings that you're having right now. Are you hearing a little voice in your head saying, oh my God, it's not enough? Okay, so what I want you to do is actually say that out loud. Now, I know it sounds kind of negative, but I want you to say it out loud. Look at the amount of money you're earning and say, it's not enough. And then tell me, how true does that feel on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being absolutely true and 1 being not true at all. So write that down. How true does it feel when you say it's not enough? And if you've written down a 7, an 8, or a 9, or a 10, when it feels that true, what's the feeling that it triggers in you when you say it out loud? Write those feelings down. Okay, when you're looking at income, you're really seeing your basic nervous system wiring about money in general. How much money there is for what we call people like us. You're seeing your family and your family's paradigm. And it's also about how hard you have to work for that money. And so in looking at your income, you're actually seeing your programming about the nature of money in the world. And for most people raised in the middle class, it's usually that there's never enough, that money runs out. Not for everybody, but for people like us. And every time you think about money coming into your life, your nervous system is programmed to run with those feelings you wrote down. Those feelings you had when looking at your income. Whether it was anger, anxiety, fear, or frustration. Whatever feelings came up, they run through your nervous system. And there's often an habitual thought that says it's not enough. It's never been enough. I can never get ahead. Whatever it is, it will never be enough. That's the self-talk that most of us hear. Traumas connected to income are usually around something that happened to your parents. How much they earned, how hard they had to work for their money, or loss of a job, and sacrifices that they made. Some of you have probably heard about the law of attraction, and you may notice how everything that we're told to focus on is about gratitude. And gratitude is the best feeling for attracting more. Yet, when you think about all of the money flowing into your life, which is really your income, your nervous system runs a really negative pattern. Can you see the conflict in that? I need to make that point again, that it is all of your feelings and program beliefs that have created the exact set point to your income. And so the amount of income that you are currently earning is exactly, always exactly where your programming allows it to be. Again, I know it sounds kind of crazy and woo-woo because you could tell me a million factors in your situation or in the marketplace that affects your income, but I'm telling you that people's income is totally set by their programming. And you and I both know people that are in the same job or line of work, other artists who are earning more, and we both know people who might be working twice as hard and for a variety of reasons are earning way less than other people. It's not the outer circumstances. Even in a business or career where there is a standard level of pay, all these beliefs make a set point to your income, and you will not be able to go beyond it until you are really, really clear of this programming. So we can see how easy it is to get to our level of income. Let's see how easy it is to go beyond it. Right now we're going to move right into income goals, and this is often where we see how we are really being limited. Income and income goals are totally different. And income goals are the fourth kind of money, and they can trigger very specific limiting beliefs. To make this easy, I want you to just write down double the number of your current income. Okay, so take the income amount that you wrote on the paper earlier and just double that. And I want you to imagine that I just told you for the next year, you and I are going to agree that this is your income goal, and you're going to try to make that happen. So now look at this number that you wrote down for your income and double it. And when you look at that doubled number, what's the feeling? And what are the thoughts that are coming up when you look at the income goal of twice what you are currently earning? You're probably either thinking it's impossible, or yeah, that's how I see it, I can do that. Whichever way you feel is fine. But I'm going to ask you to say something really negative again. I want you to look at the number, and I know that you understand positive thinking and the law of attraction, but trust me for a minute. I want you to look at that number and say, it's impossible. And now, on a scale of 1 to 10, if 0 is not true at all, and 10 is really, really true, how true did that feel? How true does it feel when you say, it's impossible? Write that number down. And I want you to think about this. Even if you're at a 5, right in the middle, you're saying 50% true that it's really not possible. And you say it's 50% true that it is possible. You really believe you can do it. That's half the number in front of you, 50%. And that's what you're earning right now. That's your status quo. When you say that's impossible and it feels true, what's the emotion that's coming up for you? Write down the emotions that you're feeling. Write down any of them that come up. Here's the thing. On the one hand, we know we're seeing a limiting belief. We know it is possible to double your income. But when impossible feels true and your nervous system is running with that, then it's really going to stop you. And I want to suggest to you that this is why 90% of the business owners and professional people never set a goal in their income. Everybody knows that setting a goal is the most powerful thing you can do. There are millions of books written on it, but very few people do it because when they write this down, it's going to trigger some really negative nervous system, mind-body reactions. And I want you to get really clear about how much this is costing you. How much is this mind-body-money connection, even in this one category of your income goal, costing? This program belief, which is this habitual way of talking to yourself about money and all these emotions and feelings, is costing you a lot. In this one exercise, very specifically, it's costing you doubling your income. And this is why I am so passionate about teaching this, because we can shift what's happening in your money map, literally what's happening in your nervous system, and we can do that with a powerful mind-body tool called tapping. It's a huge change. But in particular, when I can get you to shift around your income goal, you will actually start creating and earning more money. Of course, it's not overnight, right? But it happens. But what happens is people start to have all of their brilliance, all of their inspirations and their ideas and their actions line up with their new goal. Whether it's a goal for your savings, your debt, your income, all of that starts to line up in everything that you're doing. So tapping doesn't make the number change overnight in your bank account, but it's going to transform you. The energy, the focus, the ideas, and the inspiration, every bit of your brilliance will start aligning for you and for each goal that you set, because now it's on your radar. You know what's causing this massive negative hit in your nervous system. It's something that you're positively going after and changing, and that leads to transformation. The fifth type of money is toxic money, and I'm just going to touch on it. Not everyone has it. But do you have any situation where money is owed to you, or that you were somehow cheated out of, or it felt like there was a battle around it? Or are you receiving money that you need to survive, but it comes at a negative emotional price? Or you need to stay small in order to receive it, like benefits or tax credits? If so, then you've got toxic money. And the truth is, you may need to get rid of all of that money first before you can move on. Or you're going to need to learn to let go of the situation before you will ever allow yourself to earn or have wealth. And that's a decision that only you can make. If this is an issue for you, if this is ringing any bells for you, then I just want you to put a circle around it and know that there is a lot of work to do there. Because this can take even a high earner and reduce them to poverty. If you can look back to a situation that happened and say, since that day, I've never been able to earn money, or I can't afford to earn more because of, fill in whatever blank there is, then you probably have toxic money. You will need to ask yourself when you think about it, You will need to ask yourself, what are the emotions around that money and all the people that were and are still involved? What do you say to yourself when you think about it? I'm not going to go into toxic money any more than that because, again, not everyone has it, but when you do, there are often very deep and complex issues around it. Okay, take a deep breath. What you have before you, what you're holding in your hands, is one of the most powerful tools that you could ever have. This has a power to transform every aspect of your life. It's something that hardly anyone knows about or looks at. But as we went through it, you saw, you felt, and you experienced everything that is in this money map. And when it becomes conscious like this, when you see it, we have the ability to make a change and to really start shifting things so that you operate totally differently. And when your inner world changes, your outer world will change. You can use this money map to really start to shift your money situation. When I work with you one-on-one, we get into much greater depth in each of these areas of money, your limiting beliefs and programming, and I develop tapping scripts specifically for you and your situation. But right now, I'm just going to quickly demonstrate tapping for you, and you can go through a simple script with me that will give you a sense of how tapping works. Okay, if you've never done tapping before, it looks a little weird. Don't worry about it. You can't really do it wrong. We're going to use 2 fingers. It doesn't matter which hand or which side of the body you tap on. We're going to start at the eyebrow point, then go to the side of the eye, then under the eye, under the nose, just before your lip, and I'm just tapping firmly and several times on each point. Under the chin, in the cleft of your chin, the collarbone point, which you can find if you follow your neck bone down to a U-shaped part and then move down and out about 1 inch, you feel a slight depression. And lastly, on the top of the head. There are other tapping points, but I'm not going to go into them now. You really can't do tapping wrong as long as you're actually tapping on the acupuncture points. So just follow along and repeat as I do. So you're going to repeat after each time I say something. I'll give you time to go ahead and repeat it after me. Okay, before we do that, I want you to take just a moment and think about creating your money map, the process we just went through. When you were totally focused on money and your financial situation, how uncomfortable did that make you feel? Pick a number between 1 and 10 and write it down on your piece of paper. A 1 is perfectly comfortable thinking about your finances, your level of savings, your debt, your income, etc. And a 10 is very uncomfortable thinking about it. Maybe even anxious or feeling sick. I want you to just write that number down. Now I want you to repeat the words and tap after me. Tap as you're saying the words. As I go through the following script, again, it may feel a little weird at first because you're voicing negative thoughts, but tapping is a releasing technique. So just go ahead and repeat the words or substitute other emotions that come up strongly for you if you have other ones. The truth is, every time I think about money, my nervous system is wired to react with fear and anxiety and worry. And I really feel it. But I don't want to feel that. It's uncomfortable. No wonder I don't want to focus on my finances. My nervous system runs with the feelings of worry and fear and anxiety. We're going to repeat that now. The truth is, every time I think about money, my nervous system is wired to react with fear and anxiety and worry. And I really feel it. But I don't want to feel that. It's uncomfortable. No wonder I don't want to focus on my finances. When I do, my nervous system runs with feelings of worry and fear and anxiety. Over and over, I feel hopeless and discouraged and frustrated. I feel it in my chest, my stomach, my head. I feel it in my heart, my whole body. All of these awful feelings of frustration and hopelessness, feelings of disdain toward money. I wonder how long I felt this reaction to money. And I start thinking thoughts that feel really true. Thoughts like money isn't the answer. Or I'll never earn a lot of money as an artist. Or I don't care if I'm rich. And I think them over and over like a recorder. And those thoughts always feel true. And that hurts too. Those thoughts and words have always seemed true. And always seem to get proved as true over and over. So I say it to myself again and again. I don't really need much. I don't want to be wealthy. My art is more important to me than money. When I play those thoughts in my head, I feel more helpless and trapped and discouraged. It's a vicious cycle. No wonder I'm not spending time managing my money. I totally honor my nervous system is wired to react this way. I totally honor my thoughts are programmed to run this way. It's been happening without my knowledge or choice. And I am open to changing this. I am open to observing this and questioning this. Every time I feel it come up and hear it come up, I am open to rewiring my nervous system for my highest good. I am open to rewiring my habitual thinking for my highest good. I am open to a whole new way of thinking and feeling about money and wealth. I am open to having new choice in how much I can earn, create, manage, and save. Because when I shift, everything shifts. Clearing out the old that I didn't want and choosing my new way, my way, And I'm shifting into a new empowered yes about money. I am now saying yes to money. Yes to earning more. Yes to receiving more. Yes to money. Yes to wealth. Yes to managing and creating more. Yes to asking and receiving more. Yes to the best ideas, inspirations, strategies, and actions for my highest good. Now take a deep breath. And I want you to once again focus on your financial situation. And as you do, rate how comfortable you are thinking about it. And I want you to give that a number between 1 and 10. 1 being perfectly fine thinking about money and your finances, and 10 being very uncomfortable. And write this number down. For most people, the number that they've just written down will be lower than it was before we did the tapping. In other words, you will be more comfortable now thinking about your money and your financial situation than you were before we did the tapping exercise. And that is just a small example of how tapping helps us shift our subconscious perspective. And of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg. But understanding the power of your subconscious and the limiting beliefs you have about money is the first step towards changing them. I hope you found this video useful. If so, please leave your comments below. And if you'd like to learn more about how you can work with me directly to shift your relationship to money and start creating your own path to wealth, you'll find a link to my website also in the description box below this video. That's it for now. I'm Kathryn Roberts, and I wish you all the success in the world in your financial pursuits.